I feel like over time students sometimes have a little bit of a struggle with. So you see the bone here? It's gonna be the hyoid bone. Y'all saw this back in A&P1. U shape to it. You don't have to identify like greater and lesser horns or anything, but I think it is on your list as hyoid bone. Next, pretty easily seen, but this large piece of cartilage here, that's the thyroid cartilage. It's a shield-like cartilage. That's how it's usually described. The reason they say shield-like is because like a shield, it can protect in the front, it can protect the sides, but in the back, it's usually open. Because that's where you have to hold the shield, all right? Now, you're going to see a membrane connecting the hyoid to the thyroid cartilage. We name the membranes or ligaments, some books call them ligaments, from the bottom up. Thyrohyoid ligament. We always go bottom up, all right? There's another one I'm gonna show you in a moment. So this is a thyrohyoid ligament connecting hyoid bone to thyroid cartilage, okay? Next piece of cartilage just below the thyroid, you can kind of see it right here, at least half of it. That is the cricoid cartilage. The cricoid cartilage is the only piece that goes all the way around the larynx. So you see how it kind of starts out really small here in the front? But by the time you come to the back, look at what happens. It gets very lengthy, very long. All right, so you see the longer length here in the back? That's all cricoid cartilage. Now, if you look very closely, in between the cricoid and thyroid cartilages, right between my fingers there, right that I'm tapping, again, this is another ligament or another membrane. We name it from the bottom up. Cricoid, thyroid, cricothyroid ligament, cricothyroid ligament or membrane. So you got two of those. Again, they're named from the bottom up. Now, next up, this is where, if you just look, there's some images on the internet somewhere that students have gotten a hold of, and it tags things, but it doesn't explain what they are. And if you just look at this diagram that's on the internet and something on there is tagged, you're gonna get it wrong. Because I've seen it and I wonder why, and somebody showed me the diagram eventually. This little, it almost looks like a little lip sticking above the opening. This is the epiglottis. The epiglottis. Now, on your structures list, you'll probably also see epiglottic cartilage. Cartilage on this model is blue. So watch what happens. If you take this larynx model apart, look here. See there? Up underneath the pink membranous lining, that's the epiglottic cartilage. It's a slight differentiation. To be honest, I'll probably take epiglottis for both. But I always have that question, like somebody says, oh, what's the epiglottis? What's the epiglottic cartilage? Well, the cartilage is blue. You have to separate the model in order to see the epiglottic cartilage, all right? Now, you see this opening right here? This opening, literally the rim, that is called the glottis. Think of it like a circle, all right? It doesn't have depth. It's just literally the circular barrier that's right there. That's the glottis. That's why this is the epiglottis, because it's above it. When you swallow, the epiglottis does this. It folds backwards, covers up your glottis. When it covers the glottis, it prevents food and liquids from entering your airways and should direct it toward your esophagus, which, if you guys remember from last week, is right behind the trachea. So this is the trachea down here, beginning of it at least. So when the epiglottis folds backwards, it protects the airway. If you swallow something and it goes down the wrong pipe, quote unquote, then it went into your airway. That's why you have such a violent coughing reaction, because you should not have liquids in your airway. You should have air. When you choke, or hopefully you don't choke, but if someone is choking, it's usually solid food that gets stuck in this airway and it's blocking and they can't breathe because you can't move air past solid food.